So it's what I get for speeding through the puzzle and not thinking. A metal grate stretched from wall to wall, much like the one we saw just a few seconds ago. Or hours, one of the two. Beyond it were 2 elevators in the entrance to the kitchen.
The elevators are over there, so that means...
We went into the kitchen through that door and came out on this side.
That means the map was right.
Looks like.
Then let's use it to plan our next move.
Next move?
Yeah, we need to decide where to go from here, don't we?
He's right. Let's get started.
From the looks of it, there are 4 possible routes. Let's just keep it simple and call them A, B, C, and D. First, A and B.
They both seem to connect to a room that looks L-shaped.
Yeah, there were 2 doors. But they were both locked. We couldn't open them.
Now, Route C. This goes all the way to the main staircase.
That means it's door 5, one of the numbered doors.
Then do you think we would meet up with the other 4 after this hallway?
No, I don't think we will.
Why not?
Look, there by the stairs. See how the gate is opened? When we went into the kitchen, it was closed. But it's open now. What do you think that means?
They opened it.
Most likely.
And if we take Route C, we're going backwards.
That would be pointless.
Then that means...
All 4 looked at the map. They all looked at the staircase, its lazy curve leading down deeper into the ship.
Route D, then.
D it is.
Yup, Route D.
Then we're set.
They jogged down the stairs until they reached the C deck.
Everything looks okay here.
Let's check the next deck just to be sure.
Yeah, just like I thought. D-deck is totally underwater.
Just like the bottom of the central staircase.
The water gazed back at them, its smooth surface like a great mirror.
At least the water level hasn't really changed.
Small comfort.
May as well head back to C-Deck.
What else is here?
There are 2 elevators over there at the top of the stairs. Just like the floor above.
Hold on. These are kind of different. See? There's a card reader on the side.
Another strange mark.
Hey, look! It's Lotus's symbol!
At least this time he says it with her there to hear him so she can smack him.
Huh?
See? It's the woman symbol with horns on it. That seems like...
And she does.
Ouch, 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 ouch!
He deserved that. Lotus had taken a hold of Junpei's hair. She began to shake him violently, and he thought he heard a low growl coming from her throat.
What was that about the mark again?
Nothing.
Such violence. Junpei began to wonder if she was not the devil itself. Junpei needs to reconsider his words and thoughts at this point. With an uncomfortable smile, June spoke up.
This is a Mercury symbol. The horns symbolize the wings on Hermes' staff.
Hermes, herpes, whatever.
That's a weird place to go with it, Santa.
If we can't get this thing to work, these elevators aren't going anywhere.
In other words, we need a key card with the Mercury symbol on it.
Probably.
I guess we can't get on then. Let's just disregard the elevators for now.
How about this hallway on the left?
Whoa, there's so many doors.
They weren't sure how many, but certainly enough to be discouraging.
Damn it. If we try and search all these, the sun's gonna go down before we've done half of them.
I think the sun already set.
I have a feeling this ship is the only thing that's going to be going down anytime soon.
That's even worse.
Well, we can come back to this hallway later. Let's check the hallway on the other side, shall we?
Time to head back to the stairs.
To their right was a small hallway.
And now the right hallway.
Quickly, they headed into it. It was approximately the same size as the alcove in front of the stairs. The hallway led towards the stern, and at its end was a set of double doors.
There are doors here too. Well, I guess it's just 4 this time.
Let's open them.
Alright, let's start with this one.
Junpei nodded and grabbed the one closest to him. He gave it a small tug and felt it move.
It isn't locked. I'm going to open it.
Thrilled to have found an unlocked door, he threw it open. Junpei didn't know what to make of what he saw.
What?
He simply stood, unable to speak. The others simply stared, open-mouthed. After a few long moments, Santa managed to speak.
What the hell is this? This place is huge.
A massive room was stretched out in front of them, more a cavern than a room. Its vastness was oppressive, and it bore down on the 4 companions. It was not empty, however. The entire room was filled with lines upon lines of beds.
Oh, there are beds everywhere.
They were simple things, little more than pipe and thin mattresses.
Is this a hospital?
He had at last been able to put a name to the harsh scent that pervaded the room.
It definitely has the smell.
Could be. I see medicine cabinets and surgical tools.
Hey, look there. The 4 doors at the end.
3 of them were emblazoned with large, single-digit numbers made with thick red paint.
The left door says 3. The second door is blank, but the third has a 7. And the rightmost door is 8. There's no doubt. They're numbered doors.
Why is the second door blank? That seems kind of strange, don't you think?
No point worrying about it right now. Let's see if these will open first.
Yes, that sounds like a good plan.
Junpei headed towards the doors, weaving his way between the beds. He started with door 3 on the left, and moved to the right until he reached door 8.
Oh, it's no use.
Well, of course. If it was that easy to open these doors, what would be the point of the notary game? We have to activate the red, or the numbered doors won't... Wait a minute.
What's wrong?
Look, the display on the red. There's nothing on it.
We came back from a different door entirely. We didn't see any of these yet. Not this run.
Huh?
Don't you remember? The red at the central staircase? If no one was inside, it said vacant.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But this one,
There's nothing on it.
right?
I wonder if it's broken.
Only one way to find out.
It's not responding.
All 4 took turns placing their hands over the red, but it refused to respond. They pulled at the lever, and still it did nothing. As they soon discovered, it wasn't the only red for door 8 that was behaving strangely.
How about the red on door 7? And door 3?
None of them are working.
What does it mean?
I knew it. They're broken. Zero sure sucks at maintenance.
No, that's impossible. You really think Zero, who prepared all of this, would make such a stupid, simple mistake?
Maybe, but that doesn't explain why this thing ain't working.
It was at that moment that they heard a voice from behind them.
I believe the bottom of the device has been removed.
They spun around to see,
Snake!
but it was more than just Snake.
Ace! Clover! 7!
Yeah, Zero ran out of budget. Game over. Although they were glad to see one another, it wasn't terribly surprising that they had. If it had been the other party who'd opened the gate in front of the kitchen, it wasn't unreasonable that they bump into one another eventually. The rest of Snake's team, however, did look rather surprised.
How did you end up here?
That's my line?
Perhaps we should exchange information.
After a moment of silence and surprise, everyone suddenly began to talk, desperate to exchange information. They talked about the rooms they'd been through and how they'd ended up in the same place. Of course, none of it was very useful information, but that hardly mattered. They were happily simply to see one another again. Although the level of cheer varied greatly from person to person, each one of them was wearing some manner of smile. Almost as though they'd already forgotten about the death of the 9th man. No, thought Junpei, perhaps that wasn't it. Perhaps thoughts of his death were what drove them to smile at one another. Not in a morbid or hateful way, no. The 9th man had died, but they were still alive, and that was something to be happy about. A sort of simple, uncomplicated joy, Junpei thought. The joy of being alive. Still alive. And thus GLaDOS is born. He felt sorry for the 9th man, but more than anything, Junpei was just happy to be alive.
There you have it. Our half of the story.
He saved money on finding the worst microphone in the world, but did he save money on his car insurance? His part finished, Ace fell silent. For a moment, Junpei was silent in thought. Then he spoke.
Okay, let me see if I got all this straight. When you guys got here, the bases for the Reds were already gone.
And you looked all over this room, but you couldn't find anything.
So you figured that there might be something in the hallway with all the doors.
So you went and had a look?
Yeah.
And while you were looking around, you heard voices.
Uh-huh. So you followed the voices and came back here.
Indeed. And that was how we found you.
Why don't we check those 3 Reds again, just in case?
You're right. Huh. There's a long, thin gap on the bottom. I think it's a slot for something. Probably electronic.
Well, this isn't good. If the red is inactive, we can't keep going.
Well, what about that hallway over there? Isn't there anywhere else we can go?
No, there isn't. There are plenty more hospital rooms, but nothing else.
Hospital rooms. That's what's behind all those doors?
Yes. There are a number of individual rooms in addition to this large one.
There was a door at the end of the hallway, but it was locked.
I want to know who would sponsor this.
There was an astrological symbol engraved near the keyhole, however. I was able to get a good feel of it. I believe it was the symbol of Jupiter.
Not again. Those goddamn things are everywhere.
I wonder what they all mean.
For a moment, everyone was silent, deep in thought.
While we're asking what things mean, what's the deal with this room? I mean, I thought this was a cruise ship, but I can't imagine a cruise ship would have a hospital like this.
Of all people, it was Seven who answered, and with calm confidence.
Well, I figure it's probably a hospital ship. Chances are it's the Gigantic.
The Gigantic?
Junpei looked confused. So did everyone else.
What is this gigantic?
9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors, and 9 planets. Seven knit his brows for a moment, then began to explain.
The Gigantic. She was a sister ship to the Titanic, built in the early 20th century. Actually, the Titanic had 2 sister ships, and they looked exactly the same. The Gigantic was said to be one of them. They intended to make her a passenger liner like the Titanic, but World War I began soon after the ship launched. The British Navy took her over and made her a hospital ship. At some point during the war, the Gigantic was damaged by a German mine in the Aegean Sea. She ran aground afterwards, so she didn't end up sunk. What happened to her after that? One theory going around is that a man named Lord Gourdane bought her. Seemed like he'd been one of the few to survive the Titanic sinking. That trauma turned him into some kind of obsessive collector of all things related to the Titanic. Soon enough, the guy wanted the Titanic itself. Which was impossible, of course. It's stuck at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But the Gigantic wasn't. And seeing as she was identical...
So you're saying this Lord Gourdane bought this ship?
Yeah, at least I think I am.
That's impossible. No way we're in some boat that's almost 100 years old.
Yeah, the Gigantic isn't a name of the sister ship. But a lot of this story actually is based in reality.
Pipe down, just pay attention. What, that's it? Well, have you got any proof?
Proof?
Proof that this ship is really the Gigantic.
Well, this ship's got stuff that's like the Titanic and a hospital ship. So, I just figured.
It's not a bad rationalization, though.
Oh, for goodness. Don't tell me that's your only reason.
No, I've got more.
Like?
Well, I mean...
Seven looked around desperately, doing anything to avoid meeting Lotus's piercing stare. He scratched his head for a moment, then gave up. Finally, he opened his mouth.
I don't know.
Lotus sighed and shook her head.
I guess your memory isn't back yet, is it?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Hey, whoa, wait a minute. Memory isn't back?
Junpei was, he felt, legitimately shocked by what seemed to be new and very important information. Everyone else, however, seemed unimpressed. In fact, they all looked at Junpei as though he'd said something very strange. So about normal? Bracelets sponsored by Apple. There we go. We can get cargo cult status around the bracelets. The Funya Rinpa, sponsored by Windows.
Yeah?
Your point being?
He decided to revise his attitude for the next question.
Wait, was I the only one that didn't know?
Everyone nodded.
Why?
That's true. The bracelet... No, the bracelets don't actually explode, though. The bracelets make something inside explode. So the bracelets are made by Apple, but the bomb's made by Samsung.
Oh, yeah, I guess I didn't tell you, huh? I told the rest of them before we ran into you on the stairs. I told them I couldn't remember a damn thing from before I woke up.
What?
Then, almost as if to save Junpei from further embarrassment, a bell began to ring from far away.
Oh, a bell.
It sounds like the clock in the main stairway.
Junpei counted each chime carefully.
10, 11, 12. 12.
It's midnight.
Then we've still got 6 hours left, right?
You know, you speak about that, but there was actually a mod, I believe, I saw for Grand Theft Auto 5 that replaced all the explosives with Samsung Galaxy Note 7s. So yeah, you were just sitting there throwing Galaxy Note 7s and exploding people with them.
We don't have any time to screw around. Let's get going. We gotta find the missing parts for the Reds.
What do you mean, find? How on earth do you propose we do that?
We've looked everywhere in this room. That only leaves one place to look.
One?
Well, not just one.
Wait. Don't tell me you mean we need to search all of the other rooms.
Don't freak out. We've already searched 4 of them.
4 rooms?
We just have to split up the rest between the 8 of us. If each of us can do 6 rooms apiece, we'll have the other 48 rooms cleared in no time.
There are 48 other rooms?
Her early experiences had apparently not encouraged Lotus to trust Seven. Seven scratched his head awkwardly.
Maybe?
Alright, so everyone knows which area they're searching?
Yeah.
Yes!
Junpei was chosen to search the rooms on the starboard side, moving from fore to aft.
We'll all meet up when the clock goes off again. How about in that room with all the beds?
Yeah, sounds straightforward enough.
I'll shout if I find any of the components we need.
I hope we can find them within the time limit.
If we can't, then we'll just have to come up with another plan.
Right.
Then let's do this.
The details decided, they left to begin their searching. Out into the hallway they went, each to the rooms they'd been assigned. However, from far away, Junpei heard the bell ring. It did so only once. It was 1 a.m.
It's 1. I better get back to the others.
He jogged through the entrance of the large hospital room to find 6 of the others already there.
Huh?
Ace, Santa, Clover, June, Seven, and Lotus. They had gathered in front of the door number 8. Or perhaps, to be accurate, they had gathered in front of the red next to door number 8.
What are they doing over there?
That. Had one of them found the missing piece?
What happened, guys?
It was June who answered him.
Junpei, look!
She was pointing at the red. He pushed through the others until he stood in front of it. Immediately, he knew what she had meant.
Vacant?
Junpei sighed.
Come on, guys. Who was it? I thought we were supposed to yell if we found it.
Well...
Junpei wondered why she was hesitating. The others looked as confused as June, but kept their mouths shut.
What the hell? What is up with you guys?
They all knew something he didn't, and Junpei wasn't about to leave things that way. Finally, Lotus frowned and spoke.
Well, that's the thing. We don't know.
You don't know?
When I got back, it was already like this. There was no one else here. That means I was the first one back, but the missing parts were already back in the red.
What? Let me see.
Junpei looked at the bottom of the red again, just to make sure. The slot that had been open on the bottom was now covered with metal.
You're right. It's in there. What about the other two?
They're the same.
Let me take a look.
Junpei quickly examined the other two boxes.
It's just as you said.
Satisfied that they were also repaired, but still very confused, he returned to the others.
Alright, I just want to be sure here. Nobody has any idea what the hell happened here, right?
Correct.
None.
Ace and June nodded silently. Seven raised his hands as if to say, "Not me," and Santa just shrugged. Only Clover lowered a head and did nothing.
Huh. Wait a minute.
That was when he noticed.
Where's Snake?
Junpei swept his eyes across the room a second time, but Snake was nowhere to be seen.
Does that mean that he found them?
I've no idea. There's nothing to suggest it, but nothing to suggest he didn't either.
I don't suppose we'll know until we can ask him in person.
Well, whatever he did or didn't do, he's pretty damn late. What the hell is he up to?
Maybe he's lost.
Yeah, well, that seems likely. Dude can't see. I don't know how he gets around in the first place.
Clover raised her head.
No! That's impossible!
Suddenly, she was shouting.
Yeah, my brother's blind, but he's got really great hearing. He can get around as well as anyone who can see. So he couldn't get lost. That's impossible!
Clover started to shake, and the knuckles of her hands had gone white. She spun around, but before she did, Junpei noticed tears welling up in her eyes.
I'm gonna go look for him!
The words were barely out of her mouth when she began to run.
Hey, hold on, Clover. Wait!
Yeah, it is casual ableism, but I don't expect any better out of Santa there. I don't expect anything better out of any of them. She kept going, and before anyone else could react, she was gone.
Well, that didn't work. Damn it. What should we do now?
Well, the red is working now.
No! We're not leaving two people behind! We should go look for them!
Oh, man. This ain't good.
Oh, yes, what an excellent idea. We just wasted a bunch of time looking for some piece of electronic junk. Now let's waste some more by looking for a couple of idiots.
Santa doesn't say anything that doesn't make me want to smack him for the most part.
Then remain here if you feel you must, but there's no time. We've only 5 hours left.
Junpei and the others nodded to one another and took off at a run. In front of the stairs that led to B deck, they decided to split up.
Let's split up.
All right, I'll take this direction.
Then I shall look that way.
I'll be over here.
See you all later.
Soon, only two of them were left. Those two were Junpei and June, who had been a few steps behind the others.
All right, we should go too.
Yes, let's go!
Yeah, Santa does pull way too much of the, I don't care. Here's how much I don't care. Do you believe me that I really don't care?
But where should we start?
Let's see.
So, last time we started with the casino. We can go start with the first-class cabin this time.
Oh, what about the first-class cabin on B deck?
Okay, let's go, Junpei.
They took off up the stairs at a run. Outside of the first-class cabin, they found Clover. She was standing in front of the wall. She was staring at a meaningless point on the wall, her eyes blank. What should Junpei do? I actually don't think this matters in the least. Something told Junpei that Clover probably wasn't in much of a mood to talk. He leaned over and whispered quietly to June.
Maybe we should leave her alone.
Yes, I think you're right.
They turned and walked quietly down the stairs. Clover had driven home the misery of their situation, but Junpei told himself that getting depressed would get him nowhere but depressed.
We really need to find Snake, for Clover's sake.
He did his best to push away the misery and depression, and forced a smile.
So, where do you think we should go next?
Well, we went to the hallway last time, so...
How
casino.
about the casino?
Let's go take a look.
They turned and headed off down the hallway to their right at a jog. Before they knew it, they were there. So was Lotus. She was leaning against the wall, examining her nails.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
She glanced up at him, unimpressed.
Isn't it obvious? I'm looking for Snake.
I'm just not seeing it.
Really? Maybe you need to look harder.
I don't think that's the problem.
Oh, by the way, I've got a proposal for you two. Care to hear it?
Yeah, we did that last time.
No, that's all right. Let's go, June.
Junpei tugged June's arm and led her quickly back toward the stairs.
Was that okay? You don't think we should have listened to her?
No, I've got a pretty good idea what her proposal would have been. We should be looking for Snake.
Huh.
Well, where should we go next? Let's go back downstairs and check out that hallway with all the doors.
Together, they ran down the stairs.
Oh, it's Ace.
Ahead of them, farther down the hallway, they spotted Ace.
Hey, Snake! Where are you? Answer me if you're there!
And we can let Ace handle it this
Why
time.
don't we just leave this area to Ace? We can go somewhere else.
I don't mind. But where?
Well, let's see.
We could go to the casino, but we've already been there. We've been to the first-class cabin.
Why don't we go back to the big hospital room?
Okay, let's go then.
They turned and headed back towards the large hospital room. Yeah.
Hey, wait. That's...
On their way to the large hospital room, Junpei and June noticed Santa standing next to the number 3 door.
Santa?
Junpei paused. What should Junpei do? Let's walk away.
I doubt we'd learn anything from him anyway.
Junpei?
No, nothing. Let's go, June.
Junpei took June and left the large hospital room. Where would they go next? They looked everywhere they could think of, but Snake was nowhere to be found.
Snake hasn't been anywhere we've searched.
Lotus looked around at 6 frustrated faces and spoke.
And we can't keep looking for him. Wherever he is, it's not here. We need to get moving.
Junpei couldn't disagree with what she was saying. Snake seemed to have completely disappeared. There was no point to wasting any more time. The others seemed to be having similar thoughts, but they stayed silent. Finally, Seven spoke.
We don't got a choice. Lotus is right. We're not gonna find Snake. There's a problem, though. We've got to figure out who's gonna go through which door.
Yes, I have a proposal.
She walked back and forth across the floor, her heels clicking against the wood. Finally, she stopped.
Why don't we decide on one person to sacrifice?
Sacrifice?
Well, perhaps that's a bit of a harsh word, but yes. You've all figured it out by now, haven't you? We can't all make it through those doors. If we split into 2 teams of 4 and 3 people respectively, then 3 people will be left behind. If we split into 2 teams of 5 and 2 people respectively, then 2 people will be left behind. But if we split into 2 groups of 3 and leave 1 person out, then only 1 person will be left behind.
I had 3 people with 2 teams of 4 and 3. Junpei is an idiot. Junpei wasn't quite sure that was true.
Wait a minute. 2
2
people get left behind if we split into 5 and 2. And 1 person is left behind if we split into 3, 3, and 1. I got that part. You can't go through the numbered doors with any less than 3 people. But if we split into 4 and 3, then why do 3 people have to be left behind?
Just run the numbers. Let's say we go through door 7 with 1, 4, 5, 6. Who's left over?
That would be 3, 7, 8.
What's the digital root for that?
3 plus 7 plus 8 is 18, so add 1, and 8, 9.
Exactly. But door 9 isn't here, right? That means 3, 7, 8 won't be going anywhere. That was just an example, of course. There are a lot of different combinations, but the result will always be the same. It doesn't matter which 4 it is. The 3 that are left over can't go through any of the doors. Go ahead and calculate it if you have the time. You'll see. Anyway, that's how it is. Now, if we can get back to my proposal, we only have to sacrifice 1 person if we split into 3, 3, and 1.
When Seven spoke, his voice was strained.
Then you're saying we gotta decide who's gonna stay behind.
Yes, we do. Given our circumstances, it's logically and morally the best solution. If the other 6 are to survive, then 1 person has to sacrifice themselves.
No, that's too cruel!
What's so cruel about it?
To just sacrifice someone like that?
Then what's your plan? Maybe we should sacrifice 2 people instead of just 1.
That's not what I meant! We shouldn't sacrifice anyone!
I told you, that's impossible. Wake up.
Whoa, whoa. Calm down, you 2.
Santa stepped between Lotus and June.
Look, what Lotus is trying to say is, you should aim to bring the greatest amount of happiness to the greatest amount of people, right?
Exactly. That's how democracy works. And for that reason, I think the only fair way to decide who will be sacrificed is through a vote. What do you think?
No! That's terrible!
I'm not asking you. Shut up. What about you, Santa?
Me? Well, I agree, I guess.
All right, that's 1 vote for. Counting mine, that's 2. 7.
I can't say I agree with you, but we don't exactly have a choice. If we don't do something, we're all gonna die.
Oh, glad to see you get it. If I can get 1 more vote, then it's decided. What about you, Clover?
Clover had moved away from the group and was sitting on one of the beds. Her whole body drooped. Junpei didn't know if she'd even heard Lotus's proposal.
Hey, Clover.
Lotus walked over to Clover and gently laid a hand on her shoulder.
Your brother has to be behind one of the numbered doors. We've searched everywhere, but we didn't find him. Doesn't that mean he has to have gone through one of them somehow?
Clover slowly lifted her face.
Let's go look for him together, okay? If we sacrifice one person, then we can go look for him. You agree with me, right?
Okay.
Clover nodded once.
The motion carries.
Lotus spun around and walked towards Junpei.
Now, let's start a vote too.
That won't be necessary.
Ace had barely spoken for Lotus's entire speech, and everyone jumped a little. 6 pairs of eyes turned to look at him. He didn't seem to notice, or even care.
I will stay. That should solve our problem, yes?
Ace, what are you saying? No, you can't do that. That won't solve anything.
June's voice shook, and she looked around desperately for someone to agree with. Ace simply looked at her.
June, I'm afraid you may have misunderstood me. I said I would stay, but I never said I would sacrifice myself.
Huh?
I trust you, each and every one of you. I believe you'll come back for me.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. There's optimistic, and then there's just nuts. Those doors only go one way. You go in, you don't come out. If we go through them.
You won't be able to return, correct?
Yeah.
True, but that will not be the case once you've escaped from the ship.
What?
Please, I beg you. Once you've escaped, come back and rescue me. Ideally, within the time limit Zero has given us.
No, that's ridiculous. There's no way we could get back in time.
Finally, Junpei could hold his tongue no longer.
We've only got 5 hours left. We don't even know where the hell we are. How on earth are we gonna find someone to come and rescue you?
Then, perhaps you would prefer to stay instead of me? Or perhaps you would be willing to leave June behind?
Ace's voice was dignified and without a hint of cruelty or malice. Junpei had no rebuttal.
You see, there's no other choice. Then I see we've come to our conclusion. Go on. Don't worry yourselves about me. Go, quickly.
Junpei stood frozen by indecision, unable to move. June bit her lip so hard that Junpei feared she would break the skin. Santa stood against a wall, calm and aloof. Seven tore his beanie from his head and turned it over anxiously in his hands. Only Clover stared at Ace, with an expression Junpei was unable to decipher. Lotus's attitude, however, was different from the others.
Good. Let's accept his kind offer, then.
She smiled, her eyes bright. Ace answered with a smile of his own.
Good. I think this is the best for me. Perhaps I'll be able to take a nap. It may be my age, but I get tired so easily these days.
As he spoke, Ace lowered himself down to the floor next to one of the beds. From somewhere deep in the ship, Junpei certainly heard the screeching of metal on metal. It was almost as if the ship were screaming. Would it really hold until their time limit was up? Already, D-Deck was flooded. In the sudden silence, the only sound was the sad metal wail of the ship. Unsurprisingly, it was Lotus who spoke first.
Well, what are you waiting for? We're wasting time. Why don't we hurry it up?
As if his spell had been broken, the others all began to talk at once.
You're right. We should get going. That's all we can do right now.
7.
Seriously. Honestly, I was getting kind of sick of listening to you guys talk.
You too, Santa? I have to find my brother. Wait! all of you, let's just calm down and think about this. There has to be a way to get everyone out. There has to be. Right, Junpei? Say something.
Yeah, let's think. There's gotta be another way.
His words sounded hollow and fake.
Fine! Forget about it. I'll figure it out on my own.
She spun around and ran towards Ace. He had slumped down next to the bed when June grabbed his arm and pulled.
Ace! Come on, Ace. Please stand up. You can't give up yet. We just have to sit down together and think about this. We'll figure out a way that we can all get out of here.
Then it happened. Ace fell forward. He slumped over onto the wooden floor, his body folded in half like a boxer out cold.
Ace!
June cried out and dropped to her knees beside him. She put her arm around his neck and did her best to lift him up.
What happened? Ace, say something!
She shook him frantically. His eyes fluttered open.
I'm all right.
His voice was weak and slightly slurred.
How are you all right?
This.
He held out his left arm and slowly opened his hand.
A syringe?
In it was a syringe and a small vial. The vial was empty. It had only recently been emptied. A few drops clung to the sides. There was a label taped to the side of the container. It read Soparil Beta. Soparil Beta?
Soparil Beta. What does this do? Did you use this?
Yes. It's just anesthetic. I'll be fine.
Anesthetic?
I found it earlier, while we were searching the hospital rooms. I thought it might be useful later. I didn't think I'd be using it on myself.
Could be sponsored by Walgreens.
Why did you do this?
Didn't I tell you? I'd like to take a nap. I really am. Very tired.
Junpei knew that wasn't why he'd done it. Ace had injected himself with anesthetic to forestall Junpei and June's attempts to bring him along. If he couldn't move, there was nothing they could do. He'd injected himself so that they would be forced to leave him behind.
Ace!
Is there something you want to say? I'd just like to sleep a little. Could you keep it down?
No, don't, Ace. Don't fall asleep.
You feel warm. So comfortable.
Creepy.
I think I'll have a nice dream.
Ace's eyelids drooped further and further, almost as though he were dying.
Ace! Ace!
She shook his shoulder again and again. But this time he didn't respond. Only the gentle rising and falling of his chest told them he was alive. Junpei was relieved to see he was, in fact, still breathing.
Let's get him up on a bed.
He lifted Ace up off the floor and laid him on the bed he'd been leaning against. When Junpei turned around, Lotus gave him a look of pity.
Well, we really don't have a choice now. We can't let his sacrifice go to waste. Right?
Like you even mean that.
You say something?
No, nothing.
It felt wrong, but he had to agree. Then suddenly, Santa spoke.
Yeah, but we're not done choosing yet, are we?
Huh? What do you mean?
Well, we haven't decided who's going in what door.
Ah, yes. Yes, that's true.
Enough of this screwing around. Let's decide. You first, Lotus. Which door do you want?
I want door number 8. It's the same number as my bracelet number.
Got it. You're 8. You're next, 7. Which one do you want?
I'll take 7. I can't get along with that old lady.
What? What did you just say?
Her face distorted by rage, Lotus took a step towards 7. He threw up his hands and made a face like a child caught with his hand in the cookie jar.
Who, me? I didn't say nothing.
Oh, you're gonna get it next time.
She shot him a glare that would have melted steel, then turned and stalked off.
Alright, who's next?
Santa's gaze moved across the 3 people left. Finally, they stopped on Junpei.
Junpei, which door do you want?
At last. Junpei's mind was already made up. So, gee, I wonder what it is time for. It is time for voting. And I will be right back. Give you guys enough time to go and click on a button.